Hey guys, welcome to Love on the Pod, a podcast about all the cheesy romantic TV movies we adore. I'm Sherry.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Jessica.
And today we are excited to be talking about When Calls the Heart. We are all three Hearties. I am a very new Heartie. And if you haven't been watching When Calls the Heart, you should. I failed to write down when it started, but I want to say 2016, somewhere thereabouts. So it's been around a while, and I only just started watching in the fall of 2024. Watched a few. 2014. Wow. So it's been on for over 10 years now. I started watching in this past fall, and I only watched a couple of episodes because then I got fully immersed in all the Hallmark and Lifetime and GAC Christmas movies. So just a week or so ago, what's it been, about 2 weeks, that I started binge watching, and I have gotten through 6 seasons now. So that's what we're going to talk about today, the first 6 seasons. And then we hope to do a roundup of the next 6 seasons because they have just started season 12. Sorry about that. So we're going to just dive right in. I'm going to give you a brief synopsis first, and then we're going to briefly go through the first 6 seasons. We could talk a lot about each one. There are a lot of things going on, but it's not overwhelming. It's not too much. Like the movie that we just talked about had several different plot lines going on at once. This all comes full circle, and you just got to watch it. You just have to watch it. It's so good.
So there will be...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is not a spoiler-free episode. So if you have not seen When Calls the Heart and you don't want to know what happens, maybe go watch it and then come back to this.
Yeah. Totally agree.
We're going to be talking about seasons 1 through 6. So if you have not seen them, I highly recommend you watch them first. Otherwise, you will. It's not that you'll be disappointed, but you won't be surprised about some things, and you want to be you want to have that element of surprise. So here's a little brief synopsis. When Calls the Heart is a Hallmark Western drama series that takes place in the early 20th century in the fictional Canadian town of Cole Valley. Elizabeth Thatcher, a young teacher accustomed to high society, who experiences culture shock when she gets her first classroom assignment in Cole Valley in 1910. Life in the small mining town is filled with challenges. A recent explosion has killed more than a dozen of the town's miners, compelling the widows of the men to want to work in the mines to earn money. One of them, Abigail Stanton, whose husband was the foreman at the site of the tragedy, welcomes Thatcher and tries to help her adjust to frontier customs. Constable Jack Thornton is not as welcoming at first, though, because he believes that Thatcher's wealthy family doomed his career by assigning him to Cole Valley so he could protect Elizabeth. It is based on the book series Canadian West, which I have not read, but I would like to now, by Janet Oke, or Oki, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, O-K-E.
Oak.
The first of which, Oke, and the first of the series is actually called When Calls the Heart. So there's your little summary.
I did not realize that was a series. I thought it was just the one book, When Calls the Heart.
No, I didn't note how many there are, but it's a series, an actual series of books. So,
and I believe that the series doesn't follow the show, so it's like a different group of people in each book.
Okay, so maybe the show is just inspired by the When Calls the Heart,
the original.
Book.
Okay,
yeah, I see.
That makes sense. Well, now I want to read it even more because I want to know about other people's frontier adventures. Yeah. I was initially reluctant to start the series. You had both mentioned you got to watch it. I was, I'm so far behind. How am I going to ever catch up? And then I started watching it.
You could do it.
So it's a day.
Once you just start it, you catch up pretty quickly.
Yeah,
you do. And it's one that locks you in immediately. You don't want to walk away because then you're thinking, oh, what did I miss? What did Henry do now? Or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely one that I will sit and fold laundry or do other tasks while I'm watching it. I don't want to wander around and have it in the background because I don't want to miss anything. I'm so personally invested in these people's lives now that they're part of my family.
If this show ever ends, I swear.
Oh, I will cry. I will cry. I love this show. It is definitely one of my very favorite series I've ever watched. I love that I can watch it with my kids. It's wholesome. It's sweet. It's got adventure. It's got love. It is just the most well done show. And the acting is fantastic. It's not like this cheesy, TV series that is not that great, it is really good quality. It's so good. It makes my heart warm. I love it.
Well, and the thing is,
the acting. Oh, go ahead.
The thing is, if you go to normal network television, you'd be hard pressed to find something that you can watch with your kids. Honestly, it is. I mean, I think I told you about Beast Games. I think that was the first show where we were like, oh, we actually can watch this with our kids. It's appropriate. Like there's not a bunch of cursing and murder. And When It Calls the Heart does address some more adult subjects, but they do it kind of wrapped in a flannel blanket, right? So it's a little bit softer for kids. Yeah. And so I really appreciate that about Hallmark.
Yeah.
Well, totally. And I think, I like the way they do that because they're not pushing some of these harder issues completely aside because you want to know what actually happened. You want your kids to know this is what frontier life was like. And there are a few things that are a little modernized. Of course, it's television.
They're close.
They're close. And we'll dive into that. But it does give you a glimpse of frontier life and all the things that people had to deal with. So I just really enjoy it. So we're going to dive right in with season 1. So we start out, excuse me, the mining widows have been evicted. Well, first off, Elizabeth Thatcher comes to town. She's going to be the new school teacher. She comes from a very wealthy family in Hamilton. And she comes to town and she is dressed to the nines. She looks so gorgeous. She's not prepared, I think, for the dusty, dirty frontier town that she's going to take on. Satin and giant hats with flowers. And I just thought, wow, she looks so amazing.
She looks like she's about to board the Titanic.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. What did they call those? Gibson girls? She looked beautiful. So the mining widows have been evicted from their homes because, their husbands aren't there to pay the rent. Abigail Stanton gets the women to show up at Henry Gowan's office. He's the mayor of the town in miner gear, seeking to work in the mines to keep their homes. Gowan reluctantly agrees. The town has blamed Mayor Gowan for the mining disaster. And, as I'm typing up these notes, I'm thinking, okay, now what? Why did they blame him? Because I watched it so quickly. I had to keep going back. But he had some pretty ruthless and questionable business practices. And the whole time, I don't know about you guys, but Henry Gowan, I'm waiting for his redemption. I love him. I'm thinking the whole time, there's some good in him. There has to be some good in him. He's going to have this Ebenezer Scrooge moment at some point. He just has to. And if he doesn't, I'm going to be so disappointed. Love him. Plus, he's a silver fox. He's a handsome man. And I'm just rooting for him the whole time.
What's funny is in the early seasons, I didn't notice it as much, but moving through the seasons, he's a pretty small guy.
He is. Yeah.
He's much shorter than a lot of the other guys on the show. So it's just interesting how I think it's because of, wardrobe changes and changes to his appearance that they've made as his character has developed. He doesn't have the big fur coat and the big tall hat and all those things moving forward. So it kind of softens his look a little bit, but it's just funny how it was a few seasons in before I noticed, he's actually pretty short.
And I noticed the same thing.
How tall he is.
Yeah, because he has a big presence initially. And so he seems like he would be a very tall man. So new miners start to arrive to Coal Valley, including Billy Hamilton, who is played by the handsome Andrew Walker. And I did not like this. Well, obviously you're not supposed to like this guy. He always plays such a good guy, just charming. And, there's a few where he feels a little slimy, like in, what's that one with the bride where he bets his friends that he can get this gal to marry him. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know. Like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
It's kind of like that. But so that skews a little on the slimy side. But this guy, Billy, he's a con man.
Mm-hmm. And I totally forgot that he was in this until I went, because it's been a while since I watched season 1. It's been a long time. So I was going back through trying to refresh my memory. And then I saw that picture of him and I was like, oh, I forgot. He plays a bad guy.
And he immediately hones in on Elizabeth. And I'm thinking to myself, why? He knows something about her past. She's living in this frontier town, but she comes from money. This guy is after something. And Jack, Constable Jack, his spidey senses go up right away and he is suspicious of him. Which Abigail doesn't take kindly to. She just thinks, oh, he must be jealous, or he doesn't want me to find someone. Well, he's right. Billy is only after Elizabeth's money. He gets run out of town. I feel like I'm going to be going through these seasons really quickly, but so much happens. Okay. Yeah, I'm just hitting the highlights. Abigail, she decides to take over the rundown town cafe, and she and Elizabeth move upstairs above the cafe.
So Rosemary, where was everybody eating prior to this?
Well, they have the
campfire.
Wasn't there like maybe I'm thinking of a different season. It's so hard to remember. But wasn't there like some kind of like place where the miners? No,
the saloon wasn't. Was the saloon already there?
The saloon. Yes,
yeah,
that's
right.
Beans.
I guess that's true.
They ate a lot of beans. It was just boring. Yeah, stew, beans, stuff like that at the saloon. There's nothing to write home about.
Yeah,
and I don't think we know why the cafe is run down or who ran it before. It's just something that Abigail took over.
Closed. Yeah. But man, if she doesn't turn that place into a pillar of the community. Abigail's Cafe is like my favorite place. There are so many pivotal things that happen in and around that cafe.
Yeah.
And so many different people that come in and out and work there, and just different storylines that just flow right through that cafe. And it's beautiful. And I love it. I just love it.
The friendships that are formed and the supportive women. It's just lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, Jack and Elizabeth are kind of starting to get close, and you can tell that a romance is brewing. But then Rosemary Laveau arrives in town, and she just happens to be Jack's ex-fiance.
Which I also forgot about.
Yeah, because later on, and we'll talk about, she ends up with somebody else, and it's just such a pivotal part of the storyline going forward. That's all I think about is who she's with now. But she sets her sights on Jack, making Elizabeth jealous at this point. At first, and I love Pascal Hutton, but at first I found Rosemary so annoying because, and I think it's because I'm rooting for Jack and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, hopefully this is a quick storyline, but I know she stays on the show. So what's going to happen?
And she's so theatrical. This
my gosh,
big
over the top
from the city, and she comes to hope. Well, at this point now, it's still Coal Valley.
Coal Valley.
It's still Coal Valley. Okay, so she comes to Coal Valley, and she just has this big city energy, and she's very dramatic, and it's hilarious. It's so funny.
Yeah, and back then in season 1, I'm thinking, this is so over the top. But then as her character evolves and she's still theatrical, I love her. Just love her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was reflecting on this yesterday. I don't know that I would have bought her and Jack as a couple. I don't know that I can see what he
would have seen
in her for his own, like based on his own personal life and how he lives and what he does. And, especially because like in later seasons, we see like he gets tempted with this big city life and he's not interested in it. So it's interesting. And maybe that's the ultimate reason why they broke up. But yeah, I definitely did not. I love Rosemary, but I definitely did not love her at first. I was like, don't break them up. Get out of here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stop ruining things.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to season 2, and the hair is coming down and the big hats are gone. And
yeah, there's quite the evolution of fashion from the first season to the second season. It's really interesting going back and looking now at the season 1. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot they dressed like that, because it really, really drastically changed the second season. And then moving forward from there, I think it was a much slower evolution. But first season to second season, it was a big,
and I have to say, at first I didn't like it. I was like, what happened? They don't look like frontier women. Why is their hair down and bouncy and beautiful? And what styling products are they using? Because this is the frontier and it's dusty. And but the storylines draw you in so much that you just kind of forget about that and put it aside. Of course, the fashion you notice because it's beautiful. But at first I was like, oh, she's got a little bit of mascara on now. And what's with the pink lip gloss? And so then I had to drag out some pictures of my great grandparents who I don't know when they were born, late 1800s, I believe. And my great grandma, no makeup, and she had the poofy bun with the little plop on top and the high button collars, and the styling is, some of it's pretty accurate, but I was thinking, oh no, they didn't look like this. All the women looked angry.
But
all
you
they
know
do
what?
is sweep
I'm
dirt
here
floors.
for it. I like to imagine that it was this beautiful, magical time where everyone's hair curled perfectly without, plugging in a curling iron. And
exactly. Because now I'm thinking, how do I get those bouncy curls like Rosemary has?
It's magical, and I like it. So I'm gonna just go with it.
Well, I think it's part of telling the story of, okay, we're going to recover now from what has happened with the coal mine, and we're going to, so with that process comes, okay, let's make everybody look a little bit happier, a little bit
that's
brighter,
true.
A little softer, a little less rundown.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Dress them in brighter colors and
So in season 2, we get a glimpse of Elizabeth's family, who are a bunch of pompous snobs.
Ugh.
They're just awful people. Her mom is taken ill, and so Elizabeth feels like she needs to go back home. So Jack escorts her to Hamilton. Enter childhood friend Charles Kensington. Of course, he has to have the last name Kensington, and which creates a potential conflict between Jack and Elizabeth. You see that Elizabeth views him as a friend only, but Charles definitely has his sights on he wants to wife her up. So,
and this is Marcus Rosner, right?
Yes.
I was just looking that up to try to figure out what his name is. Yes, because we've seen him in lots of other things.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I should have put down names of everybody. I have not done that, but I just got so excited about this show. Elizabeth Thatcher is
very
played
handsome
by
and debonair.
Yeah. Elizabeth Thatcher is played by Aaron Krakow, who we know and love. Daniel Lissing is Jack Thornton. He has the longest eyelashes on any man I've ever seen.
So handsome.
He is so handsome. But it's funny because, you know how, and I don't want this to sound derogatory in any way, because to me it's adorable. You know how they say people start looking like their pets? You see him side by side with his dog, Rip. I'm like, that is the perfect dog for him. They just are like, he's the best.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like, hilarious. It's this lovable dog, and Jack is this lovable character now at this point, and just good. And it wouldn't have, I couldn't have paired him with like a German Shepherd or a Doberman.
No, Rip is
the Basset Hound was perfect.
So there is also a When Calls the Heart movie. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie.
I have not. I did hear that there was one.
Yeah, it came out before the series. So it was in 2013. It's the same like basic story from the book. So it's the same characters, but it's all different actors and actresses. Elizabeth is played by Maggie Grace, and she does a great job. So I actually watched that movie first, and then I started watching the series. And so when Erin Krakow came out as Elizabeth, I was like, that's not Elizabeth. What's happening here? Because I didn't realize that it was different. So it did take me a hot minute to get used to her as Elizabeth because I had watched the movie and I didn't realize it would be someone else. And now I could not imagine anyone else playing Elizabeth. I mean, Erin Krakow is amazing. She does such a good job. She's the perfect Elizabeth. But it was just interesting having watched the movie first. It's pretty good. The series is worlds better. But the movie is pretty good, so I would recommend watching it.
Is it available on Hallmark Plus?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Stephen Amell is in it? Interesting. He's the archer.
The archer?
I believe. Oh, no, Arrow. Arrow, not Archer. Arrow. He is an archer, but the Arrow. And he's going to be in the new Suits LA, which you guys don't care about because you don't watch Suits. But
I don't watch it.
No. There is no Jack in the movie. But Lori Loughlin does play Abigail. I think that's the only one, if I'm remembering right, that plays the same character in the series and the movie.
I mean, she is Abigail. Let's be real.
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
Well, speaking of Abigail, meanwhile, back in Coal Valley, she's trying to clear her husband's name because he has been blamed for this mining disaster. So she goes to court because he has been accused of signing off on the safety of the mine before the disaster that killed so many. We have a surprise witness come in the form of Clara Stanton, and who happens to be the wife of Abigail's son, Peter, who was also lost in the mining disaster. She arrives with the original unaltered documentation stating that the mine had been inspected and deemed unsafe due to a faulty ventilation system. Abigail's husband is cleared, which is a pivotal moment. They closed the mine.
Clara was so great. She is one of my favorite characters.
I like her a lot.
Ever been on the show. I think she's lovely and sweet and beautiful, and I really enjoyed watching her storyline.
Yeah, and Abigail invites her to stay, and we don't understand. We find out later why she can't stay. It turns out she has a debt that she's trying to pay off, but she does return to Coal Valley, and it was great when she came back. So the mine is closed. The town is renamed Hope Valley. Businessman Lee Coulter arrives in Hope Valley and convinces the townfolk that their future is in lumber. And I will say, Cavan Smith, we decided it's Cavan, right? Or Cavan? Cavan, I believe it's Cavan.
I thought it was Cavan. Oh, crap.
Here we go.
Every time. I'm so sorry, Mr. Smith.
We like you.
I'm looking it up.
He was not one of my favorite Hallmark actors initially. Just, we watched that pumpkin one with Shannon Doherty, the big one, or Finding the Big One.
Okay, well, that movie just wasn't that good. So.
It's Cavan. It is Cavan.
Cavan. Okay. Yeah. In his yeehaw overalls, and I just...
Okay, but that movie was terrible.
And then there were others where he just seemed like the kind of the slimy business guy. So it was based solely on his characters, not on him, because I don't know the guy. But then he comes to Hope Valley and turned my mind right around. Rosemary sees an opportunity and starts pursuing Lee. And you just know that this is going to be the start of something amazing. Elizabeth's family continues to push her to pursue Charles. And a new pastor comes to town and helps Abigail, bless you, make needed repairs on her cafe. And sparks begin to fly between the two of them because she has to make these repairs or the cafe is going to be closed down by Mr. Gowan. So he's still got his hand in every pot trying to stir up trouble. I'm in the minority on this after doing some research. I was not a fan of this pairing between Pastor Frank and Abigail. I didn't like it.
I have that listed as my least favorite storyline. Pastor Frank and Abigail. I just didn't like Pastor Frank. I don't know why.
Me either. He seems suspicious to me.
Yeah, there's one plot hole, and maybe it's not a plot hole. Maybe I just missed the explanation on this. So maybe you guys can help me out. Pastor Frank, when he came to town, he was like, something was up with him. And then we later find out that he's like a born again believer, that he, made some bad choices and
he has a past.
He's moving on from it. He's making good choices. He's a good dude. But when he came to town, they were creating a pulpit kind of deal for the schoolhouse for him for when he was doing the Sunday service. And when they were building it, Pastor Frank asked him to put a secret compartment in it. And then we kept waiting to be like, what? Why does he need a secret compartment? What shady thing is he doing? But I don't think they ever answered that question. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think they ever did anything with the secret compartment. So that kind of, I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't like Pastor Frank, because he left.
Maybe he needed to hide a gun in there because he has this shady past.
That's what I
but they never address it.
Yes. Okay. I'm not the only one. Okay.
So a storm is brewing, and Jack's beloved basset hound Rip is missing. So Jack and Elizabeth begin searching, ending up at the abandoned mine, which is never a good idea. Elizabeth hears Rip, and so they're trying to find the poor little lost doggy. But a beam falls, and Elizabeth is knocked to the ground, and Jack comes to the rescue. After that scare, they finally share their feelings for one another, which is really sweet. I was rooting for this from the beginning. And then also Lee and Rosemary begin courting after Lee pretends to court somebody else because he wants to get Rosemary jealous. And I thought that was hilarious. She's acting like she's not really interested. She's not really sure if she's ready to date. And so he allegedly starts hooking up. Well, not hooking up. You know what I mean?
This is the frontier, people. Come on.
Hooking up in this show. ChatGPT has an answer to your question, Danielle. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I'm going to read it to you, and it's believable. I don't remember it happening, but I don't remember the compartment at all. So,
can you read it in the voice of Siri?
Yes, I can. Thank you for asking.
Oh no, stop. That's
no,
creepy.
I'm not going to do that. It reminds me of the lady from Smart House. Okay, so Pastor Frank Hogan requests a secret compartment in the schoolhouse on When Calls the Heart because he is secretly working to store money collected to help former outlaws transition into more honest lives. As a reformed outlaw himself, Pastor Frank is deeply committed to redemption and helping others who want to leave their criminal past behind. The secret compartment is meant to safeguard the money and keep it away from prying eyes. I don't know if that's true.
Did they address that at all? I don't remember that at all.
I have no idea.
Like the ChatGPT just made that up.
Maybe it did. But I would like to think that that's true. I'm going to just...
If any of our listeners remember this and have
let
an
us
explanation, let us know.
Otherwise, I'm making this part of the show canon in my mind.
Yeah, because the AI sites, they come up with some really weird stuff. And then a spaceship flew overhead. No, it didn't.
And stole the whole church.
So we wrap up season 2. This is just a rapid fire, but we wrap up season 2 with Jack walking into Elizabeth's schoolhouse. We feel like he's going to propose. We see the suit. We see someone down on one knee. And no, it's Charles on bended knee proposing to Elizabeth. And Jack walks in just as this is happening. And that's our cliffhanger.
Charles.
What
stinker.
What gave you the idea that she was interested in marrying you first off? She never said I have feelings for you.
Her father.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I work for your father now. You need to come back to Hamilton. You don't need to live in this podunk town. Well,
you don't have to work. You can just sit at home and look out the window.
Which is great if you want to stay home and take care of your home and your family and everything. But she clearly has a job, and he's telling her, you don't have to have that job. She loves her job.
But
she's a school teacher.
She went to teacher college so she could do that.
And she has given him no indication that she is interested in him at all.
Yeah.
No.
I'm curious what your thoughts were on Abigail and Bill's near love story.
No. Didn't like it. Mm-mm.
I don't mind it, but I think if they would have moved it forward, I think there would have been a reason for them to break up. I don't think they would have worked. Mm-hmm. I feel like Bill is like a lone wolf, and I'm not sure that romance is in the cards for him.
He's the Charlie Swan.
He has a potential partner, I'm like, meh.
Except for what's her name?
AJ
from Melrose Place.
AJ, yeah, we'll talk about that too.
I just love the two of them as people.
I do.
I do too. Okay,
and I think that's part of the reason why I couldn't see him with Abigail, because he pairs so well with Josie Bassett.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that storyline a little further down too as well.
I don't know if this is already happening in seasons 1 and 2, but do you guys notice that his character, Bill's character, gets lit differently from everybody else?
I think they're trying to smooth out his.
Yeah.
That's why I have my light in front of me now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Watch, because he looks kind of ethereal almost.
Mm-hmm.
That's really funny.
And I wonder if it's a personal request, because in his other movies, his other Hallmark movies, I've noticed the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely,
I think he spent a lot of time in the sun. Yeah. And he's probably around my age. Yeah. There are techniques that we have to use.
Yes.
We don't have to, but we sometimes choose to use. That's why I was adamant about changing my lighting for our podcast.
Well, I listen to so many podcasts. I'm listening to the Suits rewatch podcast right now, and they were talking about how when a show first starts, they'll prioritize the first people on the call sheet, right? For wardrobe, for lighting. Yeah. And then as the seasons go along, you'll notice that the people who are lower on the call sheet will all of a sudden get better lighting, because now they've already gotten the main players. They focused on them. They've gotten them squared away. And now we're getting better lighting for this person and this person, because and better wardrobe, because they have more time, because they figured out what to do with the priorities. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. So, yeah.
Okay, so for season 3, I just put a couple of notes. Jack and Elizabeth overcome many of their ups and downs, begin really talking about a future together. The whole Charles thing, it's whatever. We've pushed that aside.
And isn't season 3 the one when Jack nearly dies from the flash flood?
I think so.
Because I feel like that was the last episode. He was in bed with the rag on his head, and Elizabeth was caring for him, and the whole town was outside praying for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I will say, when I started watching this, spoiler alert if you don't want to hear, but you probably already know because we all do. When I first started this show, I knew that something had to happen to Jack, because I had started it when Lucas and Nathan were both on the show already. And so I had seen promos for current seasons that were happening where it was like, will they, won't they, who's she going to choose kind of deal. And I was like, wait, but what about Jack? So I made the mistake of Googling and found out that he dies. And so when this happened, I was like, oh my gosh, in season 3 already? He's dead. He's not.
They're just getting started. But no.
I tell you what, every time something happened, I was like, this is it. This is going to be it. This is when he's going to die.
I know. Well, I knew which season it happened because I happened upon something on the internet, not even trying to look for it. But I also knew something must happen because when you turn on Hallmark Plus now, and if you haven't watched up to the current seasons, you see the promo for When Calls the Heart, and Elizabeth is gazing lovingly up at Nathan, and I'm like, that's not Jack. Did they recast him? So anyway, and also in season 3, Abigail adopts a young brother and sister, Cody and Becky, and I just had to laugh because Lori Loughlin plays Abigail, and now she's adopted someone named Becky, and Lori Loughlin will always be Aunt Becky to me.
Yeah. And I loved that storyline.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite storylines of the whole show, when she adopted Cody and Becky. Oh, I just loved it. Totally made me cry. It was so sweet.
Well, and when the aunt came back and tried to claim the kids, that was so hard to watch because first off, Lori Loughlin is an amazing actress, and she tears up, so it gets me tearing up, and she's just so good. And then when the aunt moves on and decides this is the best for the children, it was just this happy celebration. But I love that storyline. And you were talking about the acting before, and it's across the board. These children that play the school kids and the community children, they're so good. They're not stiff like little Opal. Oh, she's one of my favorites. She's adorable, and she delivers her lines so believably. It's just, it's awesome. So season 4, my notes are they went really heavy on the makeup, especially with Clara Stanton. Really dark eyes, really dark lipstick. I thought that was a little too much, and I wondered if maybe she had different makeup people than, say, Elizabeth had. I'm not sure why they decided to style her so heavily. It read almost 80s makeup to me. It was very dark.
I feel like there were a couple of seasons too where Elizabeth's wig was really bad.
Oh, terrible.
Really, really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was just like 2 seasons where it was just, and it was very noticeable. As soon as the season started, I was like, what did they do with her hair? What's happening right now?
If you look that up, there's so many comments on that. What is going on with this terrible wig?
It was so bad.
And Erin Krakow is known to have a bob. She's had a bob forever. I don't understand why they wouldn't just put extensions in her hair. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, which I think must be what they did in later seasons, because they got over the bad wig and she had beautiful hair again. So I don't know what's happening.
But Hallmark keeps coming back to the bad wigs, and I don't understand
they
why.
Don't learn their lesson.
I mean, just that Jodie Sweetin movie that came out in the fall of last year was one of the worst wigs I've ever seen on television.
I still have not watched that movie.
They actually borrowed the exact same wig from Josie Bissett. Yeah, Josie. Sorry. Yeah. They're like, if your name starts with a J, you have to wear this wig.
Stiff ponytail. Sorry. Yeah, it was terrible.
Which is so funny because Danny, you've watched Schitt's Creek, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Moira's wigs are great in that movie. They look real, and she's literally hanging them on her wall.
Yes.
Them on, and she has like 300 of them. I'm just thinking, like, give this person some bangs so you can't see this terrible hard line that you've got going on here.
Yeah.
And there are some really good wigs out there. When Calls the Heart is very successful, I'm sure they can afford it.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Also, in season 4, Henry is facing criminal charges on misappropriation of funds, and so he has to step down as the town mayor. Abigail takes over as acting mayor, and Henry actually compliments her on a job well done, and you can see that he's maybe a little bit smitten with Abigail, which I thought was very sweet. And we kind of end season 4 with the possibility of the railroad coming to Hope Valley, which would really bring business. They want to have a railroad depot. And shall I talk faster? We've got kids joining the podcast.
Kids are rising.
Season 5. Ooh, I see Ashby in his new haircut. So cute. Season 5. Okay. Jack is sent on assignment to help secure the Northern Territories. I know. And you know it's coming. The Mounties return at some point, but Elizabeth doesn't see Jack. And at this point, like you said, Danny, you know something's coming. You don't know when. And I'm just already, I'm getting so emotional.
I know.
These Mounties come into town. The look on Erin Krakow's face, she's so good throughout this whole process. So emotional. A woman comes to town to get documents on the lumber mill in an attempt to open up her own lumber mill. She recruits Henry to steal documents, but he tells Lee and Bill about her plan. Yay, Henry. I was so happy that he wasn't underhanded. He wasn't a slime ball. Yeah. So anyway, Jack comes back. Thank goodness. And he asks Elizabeth to marry him. Rosemary gets to work taking over the wedding plans as only Rosemary can. And it's just
Which is
so fun to watch.
Interesting. So fun. It was really fun to watch the evolution of Rosemary's character because, initially she's trying to get her old fiance back. Yeah. And then somewhere along the line, she becomes this character that everybody loves. And she's so supportive of Elizabeth and Jack. And her and Elizabeth become just absolute best friends.
Besties.
And she's just got such a good heart. And it was, and she decides to stay in Hope Valley and live there.
Even though there's no theater, there's no chance for her to act.
I just love her.
Yeah. And the Bachelor and Bachelorette luncheons, I thought were just so dear. These strong male and female friendships. I just really love that. A lot of times they will focus on the female friendships, but the bros were so great. They're really connecting. The school children are excited because Elizabeth is going to include them in the wedding plans too. They get to light candles. And as soon as they say they're going to practice the candle lighting, I thought, oh no, something's going to happen. And of course, they're practicing. A candelabra gets knocked over. It sets fire to a curtain. The whole thing goes up in flames. But it was so cool to see the whole town pitching in, throwing buckets, putting out the fire, and then coming together as a community to repaint, put up wallpaper, fix the windows and everything so that Jack and Elizabeth can have their special wedding, which was
Can you imagine if that was the way to put out a fire still? Like passing buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy
Everything
moly.
would burn to the ground.
And this isn't the only time we see this in this show.
No.
Yeah. It's just you form this kind of chain gang and one by one. What do they call it? A bucket brigade?
Yeah.
Bucket? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The same thing in the spin-off series When Hope Calls. In the very first episode, they're putting out a fire with buckets. It's wild.
I have to start watching that because I haven't seen any of those episodes yet. But the wedding was so beautiful. And Elizabeth's dress is reminiscent of Princess Kate's. She looks so gorgeous. The bridesmaids' dresses are gorgeous. The vows are emotional. Everybody's tearing up, crying. Oh, you need some spaghetti.
Hey, Mom, can you make this? Okay.
So Jessica's daughter just came into the studio, and it's 9 a.m. where you are.
Yeah.
She wants some spaghetti for breakfast.
Oh, that was Dexter who brought the spaghetti.
Oh, that was Dexter? Okay.
Yeah.
Opal, the little flower girl, she's just adorable.
Oh, darling.
Everyone's tearing up at the reception. Everyone's dancing. Abigail's toast at the reception was exceptional. Lori Loughlin again was tearing up, so I'm tearing up. I'm happy for these fictional characters who I will never know because they don't exist. But then, of course, shortly after the wedding, Jack is sent on assignment. And you know it's coming. And you're trying to get ready for it. But I'm telling you, I was a ball of nerves the whole time, waiting for this to happen.
Yep. Can you imagine watching it real time and like not knowing that was going to happen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Because they always come back. You know, this is a main character. Why would he not come back?
He's not going to die. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to wrap this up because a Mountie rides into town again. And Elizabeth runs up to him thinking that it's Jack returning from his duty. And then he gets off the horse and he removes his hat. And I'm getting emotional just talking about it. I just lost it. You know it's coming. And she knows, the minute he takes off his hat and puts it over his heart, she knows what's happened. And she falls to her knees and is bawling. And the rest of the season is just devastating to watch. The funeral, the widow's support circle, which I thought was just a beautiful, poignant moment when they're all talking about their losses and trying to support her. But Elizabeth is so freshly in her grief that she's just like gazing off into the abyss. She's lost. And let's see. Oh, Abigail gives her this letter that Jack has given Abigail to hold on to in case something should happen to him, because he knows he's got a dangerous job. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing, everyone calls out? I can't take anymore. My mascara's all over my face. I can't. And it takes her a while to read it. In the meantime, her students are wondering, should we still call you Mrs. Thornton or should we call you Miss Thatcher again? And that was another moment where I'm like,
I know.
Oh my gosh. So all the acting throughout
season,
so good.
It was so beautifully done. Just the way that they focused on her grief, and it wasn't like, oh, he died, now we're moving on, season's over, now it's this many years later and she's over it and everyone's fine. They really played that out and allowed her to sit in her grief and show that and show the community coming around her, and not just Elizabeth grieving, but the whole community grieving, because they all loved him.
Everyone loved
and
Jack.
It was so sad. I think I cried every episode, but it was so well done. It was just, really,
the
really
way
well done.
They allowed the viewers to walk through her grief with her side by side. And you just felt like you were there trying to support her. It was, like you said, it was just so beautifully done. So,
Yep.
And that's pretty much how we end the episode, except there is a little cliffhanger. And I will tell you, I did not see this coming at all. I should have, because they're talking about how she doesn't want to eat. She doesn't feel well. And I'm thinking these are all symptoms of grief. Of course.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel like eating either. I'm so lost in my grief. I can barely even function. And then she's talking to Abigail about her symptoms, and Abigail, the light bulb goes off and she says, Elizabeth, I think you're pregnant. And then I was like, of course she is. Of course she's pregnant.
Of course she is.
And that's how they end season 5.
And that I did not know was going to happen.
No.
Because you don't see a baby in the promos at all. So I had no idea that is what was going to happen. And I was bawling, so happy.
Yeah.
So happy. Like she has had this horrible heartbreak, and now she has this like immeasurable joy to look forward to, and this little piece of Jack to keep with her forever. And it make me cry now.
I know. It's so good.
So good.
And the perfect way to end it, because you go to such a low point with the funeral and the grieving, and then she sits down and finally reads the letter, and I think I need some happy at the end of this. And then you get this surprise cliffhanger at the end, and it was just a really great way to wrap up the season. And then 1 year later, season 6 starts, and it starts with a Christmas episode, which they do Christmas so well in Hope Valley. I love the When Calls the Heart Christmas episodes.
When Calls the Heart Christmas.
Yes,
they
bring
stopped
it back.
doing it multiple seasons ago, and it makes me so sad. I'm like,
did they? Oh, no, I love it.
When Calls the Heart Christmas. I think maybe season 6 was the last one.
7, I just started, and it does start with a Christmas episode in season 7.
Oh, it does.
So,
okay.
So if it stops beyond that
recent
that
season,
makes me sad.
There's no Christmas episode. I'm like, come on, you guys.
No, because they're so joyful, and we don't need to dive too much into this episode, but I will let you know what happens a little bit. All right, so we're going to wrap up this episode with season 6, which, as I mentioned, is a year later. It's a Christmas episode. And so some orphans come to town, and they set up a wishing tree for the community. And the kids in the community decide that instead of putting wishes on their tree for themselves, they are going to bestow the orphans with gifts. And Elizabeth encourages them, rather than trying to buy something, take one of your favorite toys and bestow it on one of the orphan children. And I thought that was really sweet. And when Opal is one of the school children in Elizabeth's class, she has this teddy bear that she has with her every single episode. It's her companion, her sense of comfort. And she decides that she's going to give the bear to one of the orphans. And I just thought that was so sweet.
It was really sweet. I loved the wishing tree.
Mm-hmm.
I think the wishing tree was on multiple
prior
seasons.
Season too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a movie, A Wishing Tree. I think it's called The Angel Tree, but it's a similar concept where everybody in the town puts on the tree what they wish for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Jill Wagner in it. It's a really good movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. To check it out. So the telephone comes to Hope Valley, which is very exciting. In fact, they have this big community gathering when they're going to get the first call, and then it doesn't go through.
It doesn't work.
But eventually they do get telephones to Hope Valley, and it's the old style where you have to hold it to your ear and lean in to the mic. And I have one.
Call
like
the
that,
switchboard and have them connect you.
We have a new switchboard operator comes to town, and Fiona.
Yeah,
she's
I love
great.
Fiona.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lucas Bouchard arrives with money and plans to buy the saloon. And I got to tell you, I didn't like him at first, Lucas.
No?
Mr. I got money. Just, the character. He's very handsome and dashing, but it's just like, okay, this guy's got a plan.
And his hair is good in this show.
Yes. Yes. It's not this crazy long helmet head.
And I loved Lucas Bouchard right from the start. He was one of my favorites. Still is one of my favorites. But my oldest daughter, she did not like him when he arrived, and she still does not like him now that we're in season 12. She is not. Yeah, she's like, ugh, I hate Bouchard.
Well, I didn't like him because he's flashy and kind of throwing his money around, and people in Hope Valley are not impressed by things like that. This is a frontier town where community is everything, and you get this city slicker, and people are not going to respond well to that. And I did not.
Because the thing is, Lee has money, and I don't know if he's quite as wealthy as Lucas is, but he has money. He's comfortable.
But he's not flashy with it.
No. But
they live in a small row house.
You live your life because your suits are wonderful, and I'm into it.
Yeah. Also, new to Hope Valley is Constable Nathan, who is very handsome.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder, okay, Elizabeth is a single woman now raising a baby. This is a year later, so she's got a 1-year-old baby Jack. I don't think we mentioned that. She names him Jack. So sweet. So she's got possibility of a couple new love interests. And so that sort of sets the tone for there's going to be a kind of conflict here. Who does she go with? Will she, won't she? Who's going to win her heart? And
it was really interesting how they did that because, it was only a season and a half ago that her husband died, but it didn't feel rushed. It felt like the timeline played out really well, where it felt like, okay, now is an appropriate time for her to start courting someone else.
Yeah.
It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like, maybe she should wait longer. I thought they did a really good job of that.
Yeah,
you can see that the baby's approaching a year old. It's been some time, and they still have her go back to her grief. It's not like she's over it, because you don't get over grief. You move through grief, and you just figure out a way to have a new normal. And I think they did that really well. And all her friends rally around and really help her. In the whole community's raising Jack, which is a beautiful thing to see. But then all of a sudden we hear Abigail's mom is taken ill. She leaves abruptly, taking Cody with her. And we all know why. We don't need to dive into that. Lori Loughlin leaves the show. I was sad for Abigail, and I was sad for Cody, because I really like the Cody character too. And he's probably thinking, well, shoot.
That's not fair.
What did I do? I would love to see Abigail come back. Now, I understand she's on When Hope Calls. Or is she not?
She's on the When Hope Calls Christmas episode.
Yeah.
It's just
so
When
she's
Hope
not
Calls
a recurring
Christmas.
character.
And if you want to see Cody again, he is on it as well. Abigail and Cody make an appearance on When Hope Calls Christmas. But he's much older and his voice is deeper, and it's very interesting to see, because we were watching it recently and I was like, that's Cody. He's all grown up.
It's like every time I see your oldest son, Danny, Tyler, I'm so surprised because it's that gradual, it's deepening. And you probably don't notice it as much day to day, but if we haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, it's like, oh, who's this young man?
You're a man now.
What is this voice that's coming out of you? I do. I notice it, like, especially if he's like yelling at his siblings. I'm like, that was deeper than it should be.
Yeah. So the whole Abigail thing, and I don't know what happens beyond season 6. I don't think she's come back at all. I would Hope Valley is all about forgiveness and redemption. And I would love to see Hallmark really stand behind that and invite her back in. And maybe they have and she's turned it down. I don't know. But I would love to see her return. I would love that.
She has done Hallmark movies recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's back in the fold. I would love, I mean, granted, they do have a lot of characters to manage. So that would be, I think,
and she was a main
probably
character.
a challenge. Yeah. And that's.
But her character is still very present in the show.
Yes.
They still talk about her. They still refer to her.
Oh, they do.
Good.
Still,
she is still in the story. She's just not there.
Yeah.
So I would love to see her, even if she just made a few guest appearances. She's visiting. I think
I went to visit my ill mom, but then Cody found a school he really loves, and that's why we didn't leave. But we're gonna come and visit,
Yeah.
So because she and Elizabeth were like this.
They were kindred spirits. And so if they were still talking about her, they have, if not the door, they've left the window open a little bit for possible return. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So also in this episode, Henry Gowan strikes oil. There's a whole thing about
this season.
This season.
Okay.
Yeah, season 6.
Yeah.
Lucas sets his sights on Elizabeth. He buys a building to fulfill her dream of opening a community library. And that's kind of how we wrap up season 6 and move into season 7. So, I just wanted to talk about what we love about When Calls the Heart. And I'll go ahead and start on this one. I love that it's family friendly, but it's not cheesy. It's not like cheesy family sitcom. There are some very serious parts. There is some humor. There's something for everybody. There's gunslinging bad guys, and there's women in beautiful dresses, and there's community festivals, and there's romance, and there's all the things that we love, all wrapped up in this one series. And I just love that. They kind of wrap up every episode. So typically, there's not cliffhangers, but they leave you wanting more. You want to know what's going to happen next. As we mentioned before, the key stories. There's key storylines for all the characters, from young to old. They don't just focus on the quote young and beautiful characters. There's, the older people they're not just the mercantile guy or the banker guy. They have romances and they have families, and the children are all part of it as well. And they're all really great actors. There's real issues, real emotions, and the acting is beautifully done. To see the actors with actual tears in their eyes and so emotional, and nothing feels contrived or forced. It's just, I just love it. And I'm so glad that you guys encouraged me to watch it, because I was, like I said, reluctant because I was so far behind. But man, once you start, bam, bam, bam. Hi. And Hallmark Plus, don't ask me if I'm still watching. Yes, I am still watching.
Yeah, that's an insult. Yes, I'm still watching.
Obviously.
If I'm not watching, I'll pause it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly. Yep. So what do you guys love about When Calls the Heart?
Okay. I absolutely am obsessed with this show. My daughters and I watch it religiously. We always watch it together, which I love. Like we talked about before, I love that it's family friendly. Jack and Elizabeth's love story is just beautiful. Yes, I love that it's family friendly. I can have it on. I don't have to preview it first. I don't have to worry about if it's going to be appropriate. I love the constant um, introduction of new characters, and there's always a purpose for that character. It's never just like, let's throw somebody new in there. You know, there's a story. There's always a story that's relevant.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories that we didn't talk about was the love story between Jack's brother Tom and Elizabeth's sister Julie. I absolutely love Julie. I think she's so cute.
I do too.
I just thought that their interaction was so, like, it felt so real. And they both were just these kind of, I don't know, young people trying to figure out who they are and kind
Puppy
of rebelling
love.
a little bit. And
yeah,
I loved that storyline.
And
Abigail
I felt like
adopting.
they did enough of that. They didn't have to carry it on to this long romance or anything. I think they wrapped it up really well.
Yeah, I do too. And I don't remember if this happens yet. We do see Julie again. Did that happen yet in season 6?
She comes back because she thinks she wants to be a teacher.
Yes. And then I think there's maybe one more episode where she comes back again. She comes back to visit Elizabeth a couple of times. So it's nice to see her and kind of see her evolution as a character as well. Right. All of the Christmas episodes are favorites of mine. Seeing Rosemary and Elizabeth go from being enemies to being just absolute best friends. Watching Henry Gowan's character. Keep an eye on that one. I'm still keeping an eye on that one, but I love that he wasn't just the villain in the first season and then he was gone. I love that they kept him around and they've slowly like started to shift him a little bit. It's really a cool thing that they did there. Elizabeth becoming a mother, the whole Jesse and Clara story. I loved that. One of my favorite episodes that we also didn't talk about that I have to mention is the one where Lee loses his voice.
Oh my gosh,
Rosemary plays interpreter for him. Oh my gosh. That was the best. It was
and
so
she's not
funny.
saying what he's actually trying to say.
No. And I just thought that was it's so funny. And they have so many episodes like that where it's like just spot on. These storylines are just so good and so engaging. And
their romance is so sweet. I love Lee and Rosemary.
I do too. They're definitely easily my favorite characters is Lee and Rosemary together as one. And their wedding, all of it.
Oh yeah. As far as Henry goes, it's fun to see the evolution of this really strong kind of gruff villainous character. And now he's evolving as far as I've seen, he's sometimes a little unsure of himself. Like if there's a big gathering and you'll see him kind of staying off on his own and then he'll start to leave and he'll look back over at the community and I'm like, oh, Henry, go back in. They actually all want to embrace you. And then he goes off on his own and he just, he's one of my faves.
Well, yeah, because he's internalized this guilt and you will see him continue to carry that moving forward. And even when everybody else has not moved on, but moved forward, right? And it's interesting how they continue to bring it up because it makes sense, right? That you would carry that with you and that you would feel a certain amount of shame and just regret. So, yeah.
So what do you like about the series, Jess? Besides everything we just mentioned.
What else is left to say? I concur with you guys. I liked Pastor Frank. I actually have him on my list of favorite characters from seasons 1 through 6.
Okay.
I really liked his character. I thought it was interesting to have a pastor who also had a, criminal history. I think a lot of the themes of this show are about redemption. And, you know, it's hard to like a character if they don't have redeeming qualities. And so I think they really try to do that with most of the people who are quote unquote villains, unless they're just going to bring them in for a couple episodes and then get rid of them. But if they're going to keep them on the show, they have some redeeming qualities. So I liked that storyline. I actually liked him and Abigail. I thought they were going in the direction of ending up together. I also really enjoyed Charlotte Thornton, who was played by Brooke Shields.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I
thought
too.
That was a fun surprise, because the talent that they have in this show is not necessarily who would maybe typically be considered like A-list actors, right? But I thought it was cool that they brought in Brooke Shields, and she did a great job. And she was a hardened character, but also we were able to see some of her softer side. And I just thought that was a great little cameo from her.
Kind of unexpected to be Jack's mom.
Yeah, absolutely.
And her character reminded me so much of the rancher in When Hope Calls.
Yes. Absolutely.
Very, very similar. Who is played by, I can't remember her name, but she's the same gal that plays the mom in the Santa Claus movies.
Yes. Yes.
I know who you're talking about.
But yeah.
She's also in Ebby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and she was one that I was surprised when I watched When Hope Calls. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, and I think as Hallmark is continuing to go down this path of creating more dramatic series, they're drawing in people who maybe wouldn't necessarily work with Hallmark otherwise, which I think is cool. And because it's such a great network and they create such great content. You know, they have misses, but every network has misses.
For sure.
That's why there's hundreds of pilots every season that never go, right? Because they suck. So so anyways, those were like my favorite characters. Are we going to talk about fashion, or do you want me to talk about that now?
And I think you already know just from my conversation throughout, my top three: Elizabeth, Erin Krakow, of course, she's great. Rosemary, I just love her. She's so funny and she's over the top, but not in an annoying way. You just wonder what she's got cooking up next. And then the surprise choice is Henry Gowan. I just love him. I can't wait to see what happens with him. He's got a heart beneath that salty exterior. You just know it. And I just want him to find his someone at some point. And that remains to be seen because, like I said, I'm only up to season 6, but we'll see. And if Abigail made a return and they got together, I wouldn't be mad about it. So,
well, you never know.
What about Danny? Did you say your favorite characters?
Yeah, Lee and Rosemary.
Forever.
I
mean, together.
And Little Jack. I really love Little Jack.
T-shirt. Lee and Rosemary
forever. Yes.
Now, are there some inaccuracies? Yes. I looked up a few things. Women would not be working in a saloon. Saloon girls would be working in a saloon, and that would be a different kind of business model. So the fact that Clara's working there, this young woman, she probably wouldn't. Women typically didn't even patronize saloons.
Yeah.
Back then. The heavy makeup, the hairstyle down loose. But the one thing, the kissing in public, it just didn't happen. You didn't give your sweetheart a smooch. It was, that was very private, and you didn't even really hold hands. And, that was back in the day when you had to have a chaperone to go court somebody. So
yeah, Florence would be like just sweating if she saw somebody kiss in real life. Life.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. So, are they a big deal? No. Do they mess with the continuity of it? No, because everything else is done in such a beautiful way that it's like you can just put that aside because the storylines are so thought-provoking and really, really engaging, and the character you love the characters. They become part of your family. So the inaccuracies, whatever.
it's a period drama as opposed to a historical drama, right? So they're
Right.
they're taking liberties, right? And
yeah,
I'm here for it. It's fine with
yeah.
me.
Because you want to keep the, I was going to say the listeners, you want to keep the viewers engaged, and people like little touches of modern and moving into the fashion. I love Rosemary's fashion. She looks so beautiful, like in the jewel tones and the button down coats. And Clara looks lovely in every episode. I love that they repeat outfits because nobody back then had a huge wardrobe full of clothing unless you were filthy rich. And so to see the same skirts over again or the same blouse, I think really speaks to the time. And then as far as men's fashion, Lee and Henry take it for me. They always look dashing and appropriate for the era. I did read a funny thing that somebody had commented that, you know, they do take some liberties with the fashion. The women, there are little nods to modern fashion, but the men, most of them look like they just walked out of a Macy's catalog because they have these like fitted button-up shirts, and Jesse wears some pretty tight jeans, and you know
he does.
But they all look great.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I love always Rosemary's fashion, but in the very first season that she was in, when she walks out and she's wearing pants and everybody just loses it, and they're like genie pants. They're like ridiculous pants, but it is kind of fun to watch how the fashion changes, because as you get further along in the seasons and the times change and the fashions start to change, you start to see some of the women characters wearing pants regularly, but they're normal pants. They're not giant genie pants like Rosemary had on. Also, Fiona, her style is so fun. And I really enjoy Fiona's character. And she is played by Kayla Wallace, who is actually recently married to Kevin McGarry, who plays Constable Nathan.
I did read that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her hair, at least as far as I've watched, is always up and looks more era correct to me. As far as, go ahead.
It continues to evolve, and she seems to be the most modern dresser out of everybody, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
She's a trendsetter.
Yeah.
You see the hemlines are starting to come up a little bit. People are showing a little bit of ankle, which is scandalous. Storylines that I could do without, and we'll wrap this up. Like I said, the Pastor Frank, it's not the storyline that I didn't like. I just thought that he was just a little bit too suspicious. Like when Dr. Carson came to town and he's like going through his room, and because he doesn't trust him, I thought, well, you were a man that was not to be trusted at one point in your life, so maybe just ask him. You know, that I didn't like that. The Bill Avery and MJ, the rootin' tootin' cowboy, I don't know. I love them together. Typically, I did not like this pairing. She was too modern. Her hair was modern. AJ. Sorry, I wrote MJ, but typo. AJ. Her styling was way too modern. I felt like her hair. She had a lot of like 90s makeup on. But the funniest part for me was when he gets, and it's not supposed to be funny, but he gets bitten by a rattlesnake, and his acting was so over the top. He's like dragging himself and grunting. Like, save your energy, get that venom out. But overall, I mean, there's really no storylines that I don't like. It's not like, okay, I'm going to go make a sandwich now because this is boring me. It's all just so engaging. I love it all.
Yeah. And if I do step away to do something and then come back, I'm like, wait, what happened? Rewind it.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to back it up. I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah. So.
Okay. I have to show you guys something.
Okay.
I don't have any storylines that I really didn't like, but as I was looking at the fashion yesterday, I stumbled upon this Instagram page called Random Crafty Things. And she makes ornaments inspired by outfits on When Calls the Heart.
Oh.
And so I have to just show you guys a few of them. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see it. If not,
Oh my gosh.
Then we'll put these in our stories. But like, look at Lucas's outfit. Is an ornament.
That is fantastic.
That's so cool. So
if you didn't know, it's also just a really cute ornament.
Yeah. And
if you didn't know what it was inspired from
the Halloween episode that Mom, you haven't seen yet, but
I haven't seen that, but
yes.
Isn't that the best? So
that's
anyways,
great. Random crafty things.
Yes. And this one, she said she actually reached out to the costume designer who sewed the pants, and she sent her a piece of the fabric from.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
How
I don't know
she
if she
sells those, or
I don't know, because I couldn't find a way to buy them. She doesn't have like a Etsy or anything that I could see, but maybe I'll message her and find out. She hasn't posted in a while. It's been 2 years since she's posted. But I just thought that was so cool, and I would love to like pick my favorite outfit and have her make me a little ornament.
Oh yeah,
I want one made out of a constable's uniform.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be very so cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Or one of Lee's suits, because he always wears the bright ties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So anyways.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to mention about seasons 1 through 6? Or did we pretty much wrap it up?
I think we covered it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are very excited to share in 2 weeks. We are going, correct, for our roundup episode. We're going to be talking further about When Calls the Heart. We're going to do a little When Calls the Heart trivia. I'm going to do a little bit of Hallmark history that I just happened to stumble upon because I was typing up, I was trying to find out when was a certain Hallmark movie released, and I came up with when I hit enter too soon, and it came up with when Hallmark actually started the company. And so I have some fun things to share about that. So don't look it up before.
Okay.
And then we are very excited. And Danny, you can tell us a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, about your recent adventure and what we'll be talking about in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So if you are a fellow Heartie and you want to visit the set of When Calls the Heart, you can actually do so in Langley, BC. And my daughters and I just went last week and made a little weekend of it and got to tour the set and learn all kinds of behind the scenes info about the show. So we will be talking all about that. I'll be sharing all the little set secrets that we learned. It was amazing, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Can't wait.
And then next week, Jessica's going to be hosting. So why don't you tell us about what you are going to be watching?
Yes, we're going to be watching The Perfect Setting, which is a Hallmark film that is part of their winter release of movies. And it is about a jeweler who goes to Belgium, and who knows what she's going to get up to in Belgium. So I haven't seen the movie yet. It hasn't released yet. So I'm excited to see this one. Both main characters are played by people that I do not recognize. I'm not familiar with. So I'm excited to give it a whirl.
Sounds good. Yeah. Okay. So that was our wrap up of seasons 1 through 6 of When Calls the Heart. Highly recommend you start binging because it's so good. In fact, as soon as I'm done here, I'll probably put on season 7. We look forward to seeing you soon. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Love on the Pod and share your episode thoughts or ideas by emailing us at loveonthepod.com or loveonthepod@gmail.com. We do have a website, loveonthepod.com. You can text us with future movie recommendations using the link in our show notes. If you love this episode and want to hear more, please subscribe to the podcast as we drop new episodes weekly. Be sure to check out our merch shop on our website, loveonthepod.com. And thank you for listening. We will see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.